Most relationships don't fail because the love disappears. They fail because deeper needs go unmet, hurts go unhealed, and the bond is left unattended. It's like tending a garden. You can plant the most beautiful roses, but without consistent care, even the strongest roots will wither. Today, I'll share the 5 reasons why 99% of relationships fail. Not the surface-level excuses we tell ourselves, but the deep emotional truths that tear apart even the most loving couples. My hope is that you'll recognize these patterns before they take root in your heart, so you can nurture the love you deserve. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps us reach more women after 60 who need to hear these truths. Now, let's take a step together into the heart of why love fails, beginning with something often invisible until it's far too late.
Number 1. Unmet emotional needs. We are most alive when we're in love, as John Updike once said, and isn't that the truth? But here's what he didn't mention. We slowly die inside when that love doesn't see us, hear us, or value who we truly are. The first reason relationships fail is unmet emotional needs. Now, I'm not talking about wanting flowers on your birthday or expecting daily compliments. I'm talking about the soul-deep need to feel genuinely seen, heard, and cherished for who you are at your core. Alva, my 61-year-old neighbor, once shared a truth with me that broke my heart. She'd been married for 37 years to a man she genuinely adored. He was a good provider, never raised his voice, never strayed. But when she sat in my kitchen last spring, tears streaming down her face, she said, "Vernon, I feel like I'm disappearing." He sees the wife, the mother, the woman who keeps everything running, but he doesn't see me. Alva would share her dreams, her fears, her little victories, and her husband would nod politely before turning back to his newspaper or phone. She'd try to connect emotionally, and he'd solve her problems instead of simply holding space for her feelings. Over the years, she stopped sharing, she stopped trying. The love was still there, but the connection, that beautiful bridge between two souls, had crumbled. This is how it happens for so many of us. We have partners who love us in their way, but not in the way our hearts need to be loved. One person needs deep conversation, the other offers practical solutions. One craves emotional intimacy, the other shows love through acts of service. Neither is wrong, but without understanding and meeting each other's emotional needs, love becomes a beautiful house with no one home. The tragedy is that both partners often love deeply. They're just speaking different emotional languages. But when needs go unmet for too long, resentment builds, connection dies, and eventually, even the strongest love can't bridge that growing chasm. In this moment, I'd love for you to share this video with a friend who might need to hear this message. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is help someone recognize patterns before they become permanent damage. But even when needs are met, constant friction can still erode the bond, which brings us to our second reason.
Number 2, unresolved conflict and resentment. Here's something I learned from watching my own parents' 45-year marriage. It's not the arguments that destroy relationships, it's what we do after them that determines whether love grows stronger or slowly dies. Unresolved conflict and resentment are like poison in the bloodstream of a relationship. Maya Angelou understood this when she said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die." Every unfinished argument, every hurt left unhealed, every apology that never came, they pile up like autumn leaves, beautiful at first, but eventually rotting if left unattended. Most couples think they're resolving conflicts when they stop fighting, but there's a world of difference between ending an argument and healing from it. True resolution requires both partners to feel heard, understood, and validated. It means addressing not just what happened, but why it hurt and how to prevent it from happening again. I've seen relationships where partners keep score like it's a game. Remember when you did this? Well, what about when you said that? They're not fighting to understand each other. They're fighting to win. But in love, when someone wins, everyone loses. The most dangerous conflicts aren't the loud, passionate ones. Those often clear the air. It's the quiet resentments that kill love. The eye rolls, the sarcastic comments, the withdrawal of affection as punishment. These create emotional scar tissue that make it harder and harder for love to flow freely. I remember visiting my cousin Rosabella years ago. She and her husband barely spoke, but when they did, every conversation felt like walking through a minefield. 30 years of unresolved hurts had built walls so high they couldn't even remember what they were originally fighting about. They were living like polite strangers who happened to share a house. Think about your own relationships. Are there unfinished conversations weighing on your heart? Arguments that ended but never really healed? Comment below and share what you've learned about conflict resolution, because your wisdom might be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. And even without fights, something else can quietly poison love.
Number 3. Loss of respect and appreciation. What happens to a flower when you stop watering it? It doesn't die immediately. It slowly wilts, loses its color, and eventually withers away. The same thing happens to love when respect and appreciation disappear from a relationship. Respect is the foundation upon which all healthy love is built. You can love someone deeply and still lose respect for them. And when respect goes, attraction, trust, and emotional intimacy follow right behind it. I've watched this happen in countless relationships. The love remains, but everything that makes that love beautiful and alive slowly fades. Respect isn't about blind admiration or never disagreeing. It's about valuing your partner's thoughts, feelings, and choices even when they differ from your own. It's speaking to them and about them in ways that honor their dignity. It's believing in their capacity for growth and goodness, especially during their difficult moments. Appreciation goes hand in hand with respect. It's seeing and acknowledging the daily acts of love, the small sacrifices, the consistent showing up that your partner does. When we stop noticing these things, we stop feeding the relationship the recognition it needs to thrive. The cruelest part is how gradually this happens. First, you stop saying thank you for the little things. Then you stop noticing them entirely. You begin to focus on flaws and frustrations rather than strengths and gifts. You start treating your partner worse than you'd treat a stranger on the street. When respect dies, so does the motivation to be your best self for each other. Why try to grow or improve when your efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated? Why be vulnerable when your feelings might be dismissed or mocked? The relationship becomes a place where both partners shrink rather than flourish. I believe that if you truly love another, you'll honor them with your respect and appreciation every single day. Because, as Buddha wisely said, if you truly loved yourself, you would never hurt another. And when respect is gone, so is the drive to grow together, which leads us to our fourth reason. Number 4, growing apart without a shared vision. Can two people walk together unless they agree on where they're going? This question cuts to the heart of why so many relationships that start with deep love eventually drift apart like ships passing in the night. Growing apart without a shared vision for the future is like trying to dance when each partner is hearing different music. Life changes us. Thank God it does. Can you imagine being the same person at 65 that you were at 25? But here's what many couples don't realize. If you're not growing together, you're growing apart. There's rarely a neutral middle ground. I'll never forget my conversation with Iris, a vibrant 64-year-old woman I met at the community center. She'd recently divorced after 39 years of marriage, and when I asked her what happened, she said something that still gives me chills. "Vernon, we didn't fall out of love. We just stopped walking in the same direction. I wanted to travel, explore, learn new things. He wanted to retreat, stay comfortable, avoid change. Neither of us was wrong, but we couldn't find a path we both wanted to walk." This is the subtle tragedy of many long-term relationships. Partners develop different dreams, different values, different visions of what their life together should look like. One wants adventure, the other craves security. One wants to downsize and simplify, the other wants to build and accumulate. One finds faith in spirituality, the other moves away from it. As Marcel Proust once observed, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. But what happens when partners develop completely different ways of seeing the world? Without regular conversations about hopes, dreams, and goals, couples can spend years assuming they're on the same page when they're actually reading different books entirely. They wake up one day as strangers who happen to share a history. The most heartbreaking part is that this kind of drifting apart often happens in relationships with no major conflicts, no betrayals, no dramatic moments, just a slow, quiet divergence that goes unnoticed until the gap becomes too wide to bridge. Save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need these reminders. Your future self will thank you. And finally, the reason that ends even the happiest relationships.
Number 5, lack of emotional safety. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return, sang Nat King Cole. But here's what makes that possible. Feeling safe enough to love with your whole heart and show your whole self without fear of judgment, rejection, or attack. Emotional safety is the invisible foundation that allows love to flourish. It's the feeling that you can be completely yourself, messy, imperfect, vulnerable, and human, without having your feelings weaponized against you later. It's knowing that your partner won't use your deepest fears as ammunition during arguments, or share your private struggles with others. When emotional safety disappears, people begin to hide. They edit themselves, perform rather than simply be, and slowly but surely, the authentic connection that drew them together in the first place starts to die. You can't love someone deeply if you can't show them who you really are. I've seen this destroy relationships that had everything else going for them. Partners who were compatible, attracted to each other, and genuinely cared, but couldn't create that sacred space where both people felt safe to be completely vulnerable. Emotional safety dies in 1,000 small ways. It's having your feelings dismissed as too dramatic or too sensitive. It's sharing something painful and having your partner immediately launch into advice-giving mode instead of simply witnessing your pain. It's walking on eggshells, afraid that your natural personality might trigger an argument or withdrawal. Sometimes it dies in one devastating moment, when someone uses your vulnerabilities against you during a fight, or betrays a confidence you shared in trust, or responds to your emotional needs with contempt or ridicule. The cruel irony is that the relationships we want to be closest to are the ones where we most need emotional safety, but they're also the ones where we're most likely to let our guard down and unintentionally hurt each other. Without emotional safety, partners begin to live parallel lives rather than intertwined ones. They share space, but not souls, activities, but not hearts, time, but not truth. When these 5 forces take hold, love isn't enough to hold things together.
The older male doctor's voice was warm, clear, and calm, with a deep timbre and a deliberately slow, thoughtful pace. Relationships fail not because love disappears, but because connection is left unguarded. Let's recap those 5 relationship killers. Unmet emotional needs that leave partners feeling invisible, unresolved conflict and resentment that poison the well of love, loss of respect and appreciation that withers the heart, growing apart without shared vision that sends people down different paths, and lack of emotional safety that forces authenticity into hiding. Every single one of these can be prevented or healed when both partners are willing to do the work. Love doesn't have to fail. Connection doesn't have to fade. The key is recognizing these patterns early and choosing every single day to tend the garden of your relationship with intention and care. Remember, beautiful soul, you deserve a love that sees you, hears you, respects you, grows with you, and keeps you safe. Don't settle for anything less. Maya Angelou reminded us, love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. But it needs our help to get there. What insights or experiences would you like to share about protecting and nurturing love? I'd love to hear your wisdom in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. Remember to like and subscribe so you never miss our conversations about love, growth, and embracing life's beautiful next chapter. Check the description for more inspiring videos that I know will speak to your heart. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.